Alright, TinPailers, glad to be back. Sorry I've not been on for a wee bit, but as I explained last night in one of my shorts, I've had my kid's mum staying here for a period and she's withdrawn from alcohol and drugs, and I'm trying to get her help that she clearly needs. And sometimes I think to myself, am I pissing against the wind here? Because in order to accept help, you have to admit there's a problem. And I can identify with that because obviously, as I explained in plenty of other videos, how my addiction, and I say that like the thing that I had wrong with my life, what was wrong with my life, I was offending mostly violently through unresolved, unexpressed trauma that had happened in my teenage years, my father dying and family members. Now, I obviously thought that I was somebody who would never change. I was somebody who would just get better at being bad. But there came a point where I knew that I had to change my life if I wanted to help my son. And I feel that I've done that to a certain extent. But obviously, since I've come out of prison, my kid's mum's life has kind of fallen apart. She's recently been evicted from her house. She's homeless and using alcohol and drugs on a daily basis. But she's been here the past 5 days, week, whatever. And she hasn't touched a drug. She hasn't been out of my sight unless she's gone to the toilet or going to sleep, right? Now, I'm not naive enough to think somebody who is an ex-offender or an ex-addict, alcoholic, whatever, doesn't have the itch. And I'm the same. Listen, there's a lot of things that I think that since I've been out of prison, if I had did videos on it, it would probably raise a little eyebrow. But my point is, nobody is ever completely transformed, rehabilitated, abstinent, whatever. You just realise that I have a certain personality type that gets me into trouble, makes me use drugs, drink, and then I get into trouble, whether it's with the law, the family, the wife, the husband, whatever. But you have to see what's wrong. You have to know there's something wrong. And we got to that stage yesterday. I've never seen my kid's mum, so what's the word I'm looking for? I was scared. I was on the phone to NHS 24 and my guts were churning because I thought her body was shutting down gradually, and that made me want to come on and do this video about I would say a lifelong lived experience of addiction, right? Now, I've went out to parties and all that shit, took this, took that, right, whatever, but I draw the line at getting a habit, whatever, and that's the only difference between me and somebody like my kid's mum. Obviously, like back in the day, you know what it's like, right? Everybody for Glasgow could tell you a million and one stories, not even just Glasgow, right? That was just an example. But show me a family in the west of Scotland, wherever, that isn't affected by this. Well, in the working class bracket, upper middle class, upper class, whatever. Obviously, I'm not saying it's exclusive, but the majority, I would say, are the lowest classes, underclass and working class. Is it a correlation? Probably. But seeing my kid's mum in that state helped me see addiction from a different perspective. Now, growing up, my dad was 17 years old when he had me and my son, no, my son, me and my brother, sorry. So having two sons at the age of 17, who are 10 months apart, that's a stressful thing, right? So I can only imagine the strain it took. But kids having kids, you understand? What could a 17-year-old teach me as a newborn about life? You haven't even lived your life. I remember when I was 17, I was in the Young Offenders Institution, serving 4 years in prison. What could I teach a child about life? Fuck all. Nothing. But since this stuff was happening with my kid's mum yesterday, she's still here obviously, it made me look at a lot of other cases of addiction that I've seen, right? Case in point, so my grandparents had 7 children and all of them had addiction or alcohol issues or both. My grandmother, my father's mum, who basically raised me and my brother, she buried 3 of her kids within 13 months. So the first one was March 1995, that was my dad's brother. That was drug related. My dad's sister, my auntie, she died in November 95, that was cancer. She was only 38 years old, now that's fucked up. And then my father died of a drug-related incident in March or April of 1996. So imagine burying one kid is bad enough for any parent. You imagine burying 3 in the space of fucking 13 months. I don't even think there's... I couldn't put myself in somebody like that shoes. My gran and grandpa, they had it hard, because they weren't bad people. They were just, they were straight as a die, you know. But not even just seeing that, like sometimes I would see my dad's brother, like I would see him like out his face and stuff, and the weird thing is that he's been on methadone since the 1990s. How the fuck is that allowed? If I'm presenting to the health service or a doctor as a drug addict, right, so say I'm addicted, just say to heroin, right, and I want to make it clear that I've never tried heroin, I've never done addiction to it, but it's been around my family a long time, and I think to myself, my uncle's just swapped drug dealers. He's went from going to a drug dealer and buying smack to going on a methadone program since the 1990s. My uncle's been on methadone since before my father died. My father died in 1996. Think about that. Where is the money coming from? Who's paying for this? Who's signing off on this? How does this make fucking sense? Somebody to be on a methadone script for 30 years to stabilise them. Where's the exit strategy in that? I think that it's in their interests to keep people on things like that, because money's changing hands. Put money on it. I bet you my channel, my life, my sub, whatever you want, I would bet on that. And I remember when I was in prison, there was this guy I knew, right? He was from Belfast, right? Pro-Republican, all that stuff. And I used to talk to him all the time. And funnily enough, but he didn't think that. And he told me that he went to the surgery, right? This guy's got no reason to lie about this. And I'd heard this for a few guys in Kilmarnock prison. He went to the doctor to complain about back pain, right? Because he was on tramadol, right? Tramadol's a painkiller. And the doctor says, would you rather have methadone? Would you not want methadone? I would bet my fucking bollocks, right? Somebody's getting a handout every time they get somebody on methadone. I'd bet that. It's the only thing that makes sense. And I've always thought about investigating this kind of stuff, but obviously I would kind of need to immerse myself in the world of addicts, what's the meetings, like CA, Cocaine Anonymous, Alcohol Anonymous, whatever. Even though I've been around addicts all my life, and I hate to say this, sometimes I've no time to listen to that, oh, it's everybody else's fault, it's an illness, it's not my fault, they make me take drugs, my mum died when I was 12 and 13, all this shit, right? I'm not going to lie, right? I have heard a lot of that, and it does get like, fucking hell, you roll your eyes when you hear it, but it's almost like I'd heard all this shit before I came to prison, so it was like, oh, I heard it all before, all that shit, but now I'm seeing it through different eyes. My son's mum is basically wasting away in front of me, and it's bringing back the spectre of my dad died when I was my son's age, and that's what started my offending. I was quite a quiet kid until that happened, and I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen, because my son has me, but still, do I need to wait for my kid's mum to die before something happens? It's fucking... This is the thing, right? Yesterday, right? This is the only time that she's ever phoned help, right? Literally phoned help. But she's been up here a few times, like, we call it rattling, like withdrawn from alcohol and drugs, right? And we phoned NHS 24 and they said, we'll send someone to pick you up, which to me said, they know something's up. I was under the impression she's going to be kept overnight, going to pump her full of vitamins and minerals, whatever, I don't know. And sent her back an hour later, right? She told them, I've slept 3 days solid, right? She slept for 3 days, right? Didn't even stir. She went to the hospital. They gave her a prescription for Valium. What the Valium do? Make you sleep. Obviously they calm you down as well, but I feel that there's this double speak in Scottish drug policy where there's this, we help addicts and we will do this, we will do that, and as soon as you or me or my kid's mum present yourself at a hospital, doctors, clinic, whatever, and tell them, here's the thing, my name's Chris and I'm a drug addict, I'm an alcohol addict, and I need to get put in this place to get off, and you feel the change. The atmosphere changes, they judge you straight away, and it's like drug seeking behaviour, fuck off. Attitudes on the front line need to change, and I'm not saying that about everybody, because on the front line's everything, even prison, you've got good people, right? But it seems like the good people are the minority. Because the thing is, like, even in prison, I've seen a lot of guys want to get off drugs, but it's like, and I'm the first to say, you need to help yourself first. Same with rehabilitation, like, nobody's just going to throw your new life at you. It's what you're going to do to work for it, what you got to do to convince me you want this. And I get that, I totally get that. You need to put that work in, you need to convince everybody you ever fucked over, same as myself. But I never came out of prison thinking that way, I'm going to show them all that how wrong they were. I didn't think of that, I just thought, I have a son now, I need to go and help my son. become the man that I never was. Do you get me? That was the only thing. Everything else is a bonus. But this so-called policy on drugs is, to me, it's fallen far short. And yesterday, that was the most worried I'd ever been in a long time. It was like I was watching all this shit happening in my head, like having to tell my son his mum had died, having to console him at a funeral, having to wonder how the fuck am I going to hold myself together. It just, I don't know, normally I wouldn't tell anybody that. I would just think, it's a fleeting thought, you'll be alright, blah blah blah, but it was real at the time, you know, too real, and it wasn't nice, but there was, to be fair, the staff who called her were a big help. Like, they actually gave her transport there and back, and they couldn't have been any more helpful. But why have we got people working with addicts who are shouldn't be working with addicts? It's like, imagine. No, I'm not even going to use that analogy because it wasn't right. I would have ended up just explaining myself and then looked like a fucking idiot. But my point is, like, some of these, like, she's come back and told me things that are drug workers said, right? And he's not even a drug worker in my understanding. My understanding is he's a mental health nurse, but he's dealing with addicts, and he's asking her, how many cans of beer you drank today, and then giving her a script for drugs, opiates. Who does that? Between you and me, there's been a couple of occasions where I've considered giving this guy a phone call or a visit. No intimidatory or anything like that, but you can say a lot without saying it, if you get what I mean. Just, he's no helping her at all. She needs to help herself, but how are you meant to help yourself when you're down there begging for help? And it's like, oh, they're more drugs, see you tomorrow. As she said to me, he makes me want to use drugs. Something like that just frustrates the shit out of me, man. You shouldn't be in that job, but that's another conversation, you know what I mean? But it's just, fuck it, man, you know what I mean? It's life, and I'm lucky to be here and all that, but I'm not gonna let my kid's mum die if I can help it, you know what I mean? Better believe that shit. You just always do the right thing, no matter what. I remember as a kid, I used to hear people saying shit like that and think, that guy's crazy, I'd love to be like that. And here I'm all saying it because I know I'll always do the right thing in the end, no matter the cost. Do you know what I mean? It's my kid's mum, she doesn't bother anyone, you know what I mean? She's just lost. And I hope that she can find the help she needs before it's too late. But anyway, thanks for listening to my spiel. I'm gonna be interviewing somebody tonight, so I don't know when I'll drop the video, but it will definitely be up soon. Because I've been slacking a wee bit, I do know that. But back to business, you know what I mean? Can't be leaving people too long without a wee video, and there's a lot of stuff happening that I want to comment on, but I'll do it when I do it, you know what I mean? But anyway, have a good night, and thanks for listening, and I will see you all next time I'm back on. Good night.